And we are live. Hello and welcome to Developer Insights. I'm David.
And I'm Justin.
And together we're the leads on game development and design here at Codename.
And we also founded Codename too.
That's true. We're going to be your hosts for this episode and for every episode.
Because when we're not here, the show doesn't happen.
That is still holding up.
Yeah. Today is our 137th episode.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe that we have come up with 137 quality intros.
Yes, that is hard to believe.
Wait, are you implying some kind of question to the quality?
You know, I think 137 is prime.
Oh, sure. Change the subject.
Yeah, definitely prime.
Fine. Have it your way.
Anyway, today we are here to answer your development and design questions about Idle Champions.
That's true. And if you don't ask any questions, you may have to suffer through Justin's one-man reenactment of The Truman Show.
Yes, unless, of course, every day of my life is already a one-man enactment, just like in The Truman Show.
Oh, shoot. Oh, he's on to us. What should I do?
Wait, what? I was joking.
Me too, buddy.
Wait a minute.
Anyway, moving on from that, as always, we have pulled forward some questions from the previous show that we didn't get to, and we will answer some of those while we are waiting for new questions to come in. But before I get to those, we do have a couple of updates from items that we flagged to get looked at by the dev team. So without any further stalling for time, let's get started with those. Not that document. Or this document? Here we go. So on the fixes and new features, we do have two fixes here. One is that Rust now functionally drops his coin before the ultimate animation begins. Although the animation still has the coin drop, the actual timing on that happens before the animation starts, and so that will line up with the start of the timer for the ultimate. And then Rust also, what do we have here? No longer drops to a lower max riches stacks if there are more stacks have been accrued during the adventure. If the max drops, then the new max will still be enforced. However, if the max is accrued, if the max, however, if the max, the accrued stacks will be I don't think that sentence
read up here.
Makes.
If the new max drops, the new max. If the max drops, the new max will still be enforced. However, if the max, the accrued stacks.
Peter set me up.
Yeah. No.
Yep.
That seems like there's words missing there.
Yeah. Can you give them the gist of that, though?
No. Let me see. What's going on here? If more stacks have been accrued during the... There's some sort of issue of the riches stacks dropping.
Mm-hmm. I got that part. I got that part.
And they won't anymore.
Okay.
I don't know the details of why it was happening.
Okay. I might follow up with Peter on that and get a little bit more detail for the next episode and cover that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to leftover questions from the previous show, starting off with one here from DM Jace, or JC. Can you make Rust drop his coin at the start of his ultimate instead of after the animation?
That's a great question, DM Jace. And I do want, the reason I included this here is because we actually didn't answer this question last week. But every week after Dev Insights, the day after, I get together with Dave and our lead developer, Peter, and we go through all the questions that you guys asked. We flag some during the show, but we even look at all the questions that we didn't get to during the show, and if there are ones in there, we flag those. So this is one that we saw last week on Dev Insights, or after Dev Insights had ended,
yep.
And we flagged it, and that's why it got fixed prior to this week. So the next version, it will be fixed.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. This is from Gaunt.
Oops.
You don't have to delete it.
My keyboard.
Okay.
There we go.
The next question is from Gauntlet Blade. Can we make the types of insert blank be a secondary giveaway?
This is a great question. Probably not, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I wouldn't do this as a secondary giveaway is because...
you might miss who got it first.
I might miss who got it first. There's also a lag component. If you're 5 seconds behind, you might not get it. So having it be whoever gets it first.
It's a little tricky to check.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to enforce.
Well, it's a fun idea.
It is fun.
Okay, next question. This one is from Ravenous Bebot. What comes first, the design of the variant or the pun in its name?
This is a fun question. Pete might be watching, the other designer who does a lot of the variant names as well as the effects. And I think sometimes it's a bit of both, like it kind of varies. Sometimes we usually base it off the name of the base adventure, and then sometimes there'll be just a really obvious pun or something we can do. And so we will actually come up with the name of the variant first and then decide what kind of effects that should have in it. Other times it goes the other way around. Most of the time it goes the other way around. But sometimes the pun does actually come first. Oh, there's Pete. Yeah. Often the pun comes first. The pun? The pun.
Yeah.
P-U-N. No, it's not Dave's job to name variants. Dave and I aren't allowed to name things anymore after
Whoa. Speak for yourself. But we do require everything to have an of in it.
Yeah. Well, what was our first? The first game was named Egg Breaker, and you'll never guess what you do in that game. You break eggs.
Yep.
And then our next game was named Bushwhacker. You'll never guess what you do in that game.
Yep.
You whack bushes.
True.
And then
how about Vampire Mob City?
It's a city with a vampire mob. Yeah,
yep, that's it.
We are not good at naming things.
Mystic Guardians, you wouldn't get that one though.
That's true.
Yeah.
But to be fair, we had more people working here.
That's true.
And it took us like 3 or 4 weeks to come up with that name. So
names are hard.
Names are hard. That's why we have Pete.
All right. Next question. I'm always on the fence about if I should attempt to pronounce this name or just shorten it. I think I'm just going to shorten it to Biv Feep, even though there's about 30 characters in between there. And they would like to know, can the future staggered releases be random? So maybe, this was a tongue-in-cheek question, wasn't it?
Yes.
So that maybe your first week slots will be 2 Flex Champion slots, and the new champion might be the last slot open. Obviously not the paid Flex slot.
Yeah, so I think that is a awful idea, but...
Yes,
really
contextually...
It's very funny, because last week we were talking about how, different... different people like different ways that champions unlock. Some people very much into having the champions be offset. Some people very, very, very much not into that. So I think this was kind of a joke question. We were probably not going to do that.
Not the random one, yes.
No, not random. I doubt we would ever try and release a champion in the last week unless it was like we were doing like a really light rework or something. Like just a numbers update or something, and we already had 2 champions. So if we had 3 champions, maybe we could do like a light numbers update in the last week. I don't know. We probably wouldn't even do that.
Your jokes are terrible. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. That is the end of the questions left over from last week. So starting into the new questions this week. First one out of the gate is from Foolish Genius 89. And they would like to know, assuming Rosie is still on track to be reworked soon, can we hope for a commemorative 42 silver Rosie chest code on Dev Insights to remember all of the fun we've had together?
Rosie is still on track to be reworked soon. So hopefully within a little while we'll be able to talk about what we've done with Rosie, and I can't wait to answer all of the questions about why did we choose to do Rosie this way, why did we choose to do Rosie that way, because I think it'll be interesting to see how people react to Rosie's rework. I think it's going to be good. She's going to be super OP.
Are you worried you won't be able to defend your choices?
No, I can defend them.
Okay. No?
People might not accept them, but yeah. Anyway, as for a 42 silver chest code on Dev Insights, maybe. I mean, if you win the giveaway, you can always pick 42 silver Rosie chests. So
certainly would be my first choice.
Maybe we'll just force whoever wins the giveaway on that week to choose silver Rosie chests.
The secondary winner has forced that. Yeah. All right, next question. This is from Weffen, asking, when the eventual Area 3000 upgrade comes, soon TM, will the max favor one can acquire increase from E308, or will that limit stay?
That is a very good question. I haven't actually talked to anyone about that. but I'd have to look at the numbers and see whether so obviously if you reset in zone 2000 right now with kind of the rough gold you can get by having gotten there, I don't think you're getting E to the 308 favor or anywhere close to that. I think you're still getting, you're still getting up to E308 through like doing like events and converting currency and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'd have to think about whether that limit needs to change or whether it can go up. There's not all that much. I'd have to think about that. I'm not sure.
Okay. Next question. This is from Fewer Pills, asking, Eliwick's moon cards increase your gold find by a substantial amount if you get multiple of them. Call of the Feywild lets enemies drop 10% of their gold. If you activate the ultimate ability with moon cards, which throws away cards, the question is the gold buff still included in the 10% drop gold, or is it not? If it's not, could you make it so that it is? Because otherwise, those two abilities basically work against each other.
Yeah, I am not sure. I will have to get back to you on this one, because I am not sure how that got implemented. The design I would tend to think we would have designed it so they wouldn't work against each other, or we would have caught if there was something working against each other there, but it's possible we missed something. So I'll just verify with Dev exactly how that's working and let you know the next time I'm on stream.
Okay. Are you going to skip over question 4 here?
I'm not really sure what question 4 is. I mean, I guess you could ask it.
Well, Shivex74 asks, why?
Why not?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Next question. This one is from Weffen. Thank you for the Eliwick rework. A gem feat to guarantee at least one gem draw like the other cards was not made or included. Was this on purpose, and will there be a feat for it in the future?
Yeah, so we did figure the gem feat would be a pretty good one there. We included the other feats for 3 of the other cards in the sort of tier rewards. And there was a point at which I think the gem feat was in there, but I think we bumped it out a little bit, and it's going to be available as a reward in a future in-game event, I think, is the current plan.
Cool. Let's see. Next question. This is from Zork, the Abomination.
Oh.
Are we going to get other streams so that the number of Electrums per week still stays up?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the new streaming schedule exactly is going to look like. Obviously, there have been a couple of changes here, and so there are some streams that won't be coming back after this week. But I don't know if we're going to be adding any extra streams. I think the number of total Electrums you can get from streams, because it's not just our streams. Also, any of the third-party streams that we promote generally will have a chest code for an Electrum chest. So I think there's still quite a few Electrum chests available throughout the week if you catch all the streams. So I don't know that we'll be trying to offset that with our own streams.
Yeah, we're just hoping for that additional giveaway.
Yes.
Okay, next question. This is from... I want to say that's a Cialis, but I don't. I'm having difficulty with that name. Anyway, I think it's It's
got 3 vowels in a row. You can't do that, man.
It's worse than 32 random Kaias. We'll go with that. If in the future you do staggered releases again, can you make the packs of the second hero available on week 1 so as not to mess with the boon uptime?
This is a good question. I think that what we tried to do in this event was have the first week kind of be the Rust week with like a Rust pack, and I think we had a familiar pack as the second one. And then the second week was like the Eliwick week with an Eliwick pack and something else. And so I I don't know that we'd want to mess with that kind of thing, but I do hear kind of the boon uptime thing, and one of the things we're kind of talking about is ways to make the boons feel better, especially if you're purchasing them late in the event, or even in the second week of the event. I think there's some stuff that we can do there to try to have those purchases not feel bad in the wrong situation. That isn't necessarily based on which packs are available in which weeks, because obviously we also have packs that we release in the third week, which it feels bad to buy those if you're just buying those to try and up your boon level. And I don't think there's many people that wait for those packs in order to bump up their boon level, so at that point they're mainly just buying them for the contents of the pack. But I do think this is something that we are kind of thinking about and thinking of ways that we can make that a little bit better, so that you don't have any sort of feel bad about getting boon related packs.
Okay. Next question. This is from Fewer Pills. Now with Eliwick adding RNG to gem farming, Modron Briv gem farming got even worse due to her RNG, which will make it extremely hard for us to use her. This could be fixed if we could get the option to reset when we reach a specific amount of Briv stacks, like requested long time already. Can you see that as a reason to maybe increase its priority? Otherwise, scripters will just have a net positive, and non-scripters will struggle to use her.
Yeah, so the option to reset when we reach a specific amount of Briv stacks, it is on kind of the tentative list of things to include in the sort of end of year balance update that we're starting to put together. I think we've got 4 or 5 other kind of reset triggers that we're looking at adding as well, in the sort of advanced Modron reset options that we've talked about on stream before. So that is what we're looking at doing, and so Briv stacks is one of those things that we're looking at adding there, or the ability to have Modron reset fire off when you reach a certain number of Briv stacks. To be fair, all we've done for that so far is just put it down on a piece of paper, or a Google Doc. We're paperless here, okay?
Yeah.
Go environment. But so I'm not sure how much Dev is going to push back on me when I say we want this, because reaching a certain area is something fairly easy for Modron Reset to do in offline progress or background progress. Knowing when you've reached a certain number of Briv stacks, I think, is going to be a little bit more complicated for that calculation, and I'm imagining I might get some pushback, but I'm going to be trying to get this in for that end of year rework, and it might take a little bit of finagling and some sort of just some heuristics or something like that to make it work, but it is on the list.
They want to know which year. The end of which year, Justin?
Well, it starts with 2. The end of a year that starts with 2.
I see.
So, within this millennium.
Under which culture's calendar?
Mayan.
Okay. Next question. This is from Vovcast. You added plus gems mechanic to Ellie, but gems are farmed with Briv, Ellie, and Briv is not usable together. All right. Sorry, let me rephrase that. You added.
This is pretty much the same. Sorry,
Yeah.
This is pretty much the same question that we got before. Advanced Modron reset options are on our list, and they're coming. I shouldn't have highlighted both of those.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, the next question here is Blue. It's from Emote, and they ask, is EGS ever going to get the updated Unity that Steam got? It's got some handy features like remembering where it was on the screen that EGS just doesn't get.
Huh. I do remember when this was asked about before. I don't think Peter's making builds with different versions of Unity for Epic and Steam at this point, but I'll check with him and confirm, because, the reason I think that he'd have to go out of his way for that, because I think it's just a setting we switch before we do those different platforms. So I'll confirm with him, but I thought at this point they were on the same version, but I could be wrong. I'm just going to tag that. All right, next question. This is from Weffen. Does Eliwick's gem ability work in the background or offline?
That is a good question. I believe there is a heuristic mechanic in there for that. There must be.
We were discussing one.
No, it must be, because it's all back end side, the number of gem drops. Whether or not the cards would, I'm going to have to double check on this. There should be a background mechanic for this, and if there is not, then we should add one.
Okay. Next question. This is from LKK254. Since Duke Ravengard didn't solve the 4-stack folk hero issue for Dark Urge, are you working on a solution to that?
We are not directly working on a solution for that. It is something that I think, down the road with different champions being added to the game, I think at some point a solution to that will kind of naturally occur. It is not necessarily something that we are actively, looking at on a day-to-day basis, or with like each new champion. We're not looking at like, is this champion going to allow this kind of thing to happen? But I think it's something that I think will happen down the road, just naturally. Or it's possible that there's already a solution that some players are using that can get there, or there's just some way that it can happen already with a certain combination of champions. Yeah, I mean, we do have a couple more sort of Ceramorphosis champions coming down the line, so maybe one of those will create a formation that it can be done with. So yeah, that's all I'll say on that one.
Okay. Next question. This is from Emote. Have you changed your mind on Rust's power yet? Especially considering your plans to increase the zone cap will make him even more OP than he already is.
Yeah, so we looked into this one, and I think the reason that we kind of missed a little bit on Rust power is when we do our power testing, we haven't been including feats in that. And so Rust has a couple of feats which provide for a pretty big boost to his main buff. And I think we weren't taking that into account, so it's kind of seeing the somewhat less buffed buff when we were doing the power testing. So we're gonna make a couple of changes to power testing and try to include feats in that, so that we can try to catch these kind of situations where the feats are super duper impactful. With Rust specifically, I think we're going to try and find a way to maybe make those feats slightly less impactful, because generally we don't want feats that provide an E to the 100 kind of bonus over not having the feats equipped. But if we do any sort of changes to Rust, I think at this point our plan is to wait and roll those into the big balance update at the end of the year, when we're also going to be looking at things like Spurt and some of Artemis's interactions that make him invulnerable.
Okay. Next question. This is from Kratos0. Will it be possible in the future to change the rewards in time gates to more chests?
Or to have more chests, I think was the question. Yeah. So will it be possible to just update the rewards in time gates? Yeah, so time gates are something we've talked about on this channel ever since we kind of rolled out Events 2.0 back in March. The rewards for time gates are definitely a lot lower than the rewards for spending fewer time gate pieces in an event. And so it is one of the things on our list to look at time gates and basically do a 2.0 version of them to make them a little bit more enticing for something to do between events to gear up your champions. And dropping more chests or having more fixed rewards in those is definitely on that list of potential changes. And so, yeah, I think in the future we will see time gates updated to be a little bit better, a little bit less stingy on the rewards.
Okay. Next question. The question that we expected to see here today. This is from OG17, who would like to know, was there any event that prompted the layoffs, or is there something that has been building up? Is there any uncertainty regarding the long-term future of the game?
Yeah, it's a good question. So yeah, for folks who don't know, there's a statement on our website. Earlier this week, we did unfortunately have to let 6 people go from the company. It was a really shitty day for everyone here, and obviously for the people who were let go as well. I wouldn't say there's any one particular event that prompted it. It's been a difficult kind of economic situation for not just for us, but for video games in general in the last couple of years. I think if you just Google video game layoffs, it's been video game companies have been having a rough go of things for the last 2 years-ish or so. I think there was a big build-up during COVID where everyone was staying indoors and playing a lot of video games, and that was great for the industry. And then, we started getting immune to that disease. Darn
People
it!
started going outside again.
People started going outside and going to movies and hanging out with their friends and spending a little bit less on video games. And so, that has been very challenging for us at Codename, so we unfortunately had to lay some people off. For the second part of the question, is there any uncertainty regarding the long-term future of the game? I don't think so. Our plan is still to support Idle Champions just as much as we've been supporting it before, for as long as people want to play it. So I'm pretty confident that the game will be around for just as long now as I thought it would be around last week or last month or last year. That hasn't changed for me. My commitment still remains strong to keeping this game going for, like I say, as long as people want to play it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's one of those things that is, as difficult as it is part of securing that there is more, that there is a long-term future to the game. Is taking actions like that. So it is definitely our intention to continue to run the game, keep it going for as long as possible, and we're not seeing it at this point. That looks quite positive.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, next. Oh no!
I forgot to highlight questions
anything
here. I got to that question, and I'm like, and then I stopped highlighting. So the next question here, I guess I'll just do yours here. From some streamers are mental. They ask, can we get an option to open 10,000 chests and possibly buy 1,000 at a time? I'm assuming with gems and not with real money.
Yes. I think we increased the amount of chests you could open sometime last year. I think was the point at which we got the upgrades in place for that. One of the main reasons initially that we hadn't allowed that is because chest opening does happen server side, and it had actually been quite a CPU intensive process to do them, and we put quite a bit of time into optimizing that so that you could open 1,000 at a time. I think pushing towards 10,000 at a time starts to get back into that range of making that call fairly expensive. I think it's possible we could look at sort of like if it's a gem purchase, something like that, increasing that number. This is something that I'd have to see sort of a large number of requests from people to see that it actually makes sense that it's something people are asking for. I do get the desire to open more at a time, but that is kind of a limitation from a technical side that pushing it up there does start to cause delays server side, which impacts other players, which is something we like to avoid. So I'm not sure that we would see an opening of that size, but I guess in retrospect, it's an upgrade. It used to be 50 at a time, so I think being able to do 1,000 might just have to be where we leave it. Okay, next question. This one is from OG17. Outside of season passes, this game hasn't offered options for casual purchase, and instead is seemingly supported by a minority of players purchasing items for the price of a full game. Presumably, this is a deliberate strategy. What went into making this decision? Will there be an attempt to introduce low-cost options to broaden the paying player base? Perhaps chest pack GEs are intended to fill the casual role, still at $6, but GEs have very little effect.
This is a really interesting question. I think this gets into a lot of nitty-gritty details about how free-to-play games monetize. I think there's a very large number of people who buy a very small amount of stuff in the game, and then of course there is a number of people who buy a lot of stuff in the game, and that averages out to a lower than the price of a full game, without getting into specific numbers.
Yeah.
Quite a bit below the price of a full game. We're always trying different packages. I think we've been focused more recently on sort of less expensive packages to try and give people who are more price conscious, as we've kind of just discussed about the economy and especially game economies right now. There is people are a little bit more. A little bit more careful with how, where they're spending money. A little bit more discerning. Yeah. So, we've been trying to fill kind of those lower price points recently. But this is a thing that all kind of free-to-play games are kind of struggling with at this point. And, I think we're going to try different things and see what works. I think we're fairly generous towards players with a lot of our DLC. I think someone in chat there is mentioning, we're doing a retirement sale right now, so there's a lot of stuff you can get for, like 50% off or 70% off or whatever the heck, whatever the highest percentage offs that we do these days. I think that it's going to be something that we're going to be playing with as time goes on. But I think a lot of the nitty-gritty sort of details of it probably aren't something that people would appreciate me getting into on stream.
That's probably fair.
So
yeah, I think it is worth saying that like the season pass, which was an incredible value, did come up. We've adjusted from that, and so we are looking at right now filling that void somewhat, because it certainly left a big void, and so we haven't come up with the perfect sort of option to fill that at this point. But it is something that we've been looking at, just because we know it did leave quite a big void.
Yeah, lots of people were into that, getting hundreds of dollars of value for $10.
It was an incredibly good value,
and trying to replicate that is challenging without giving hundreds of dollars worth of value for $10.
Yeah, but it does seem like there can certainly be some value purchase options that make sense to do. So, All right.
It looks like there is a giveaway ready to go. What's a giveaway? Do we do giveaways on this channel? Of it. I've never. Has anyone heard of any sort of giveaway that we do on this channel? Is it like a?
We do spoilers. That's like a giveaway.
Let me Google it here. Idle Champions stream giveaway. Well, it says here that there's a world famous giveaway where you can earn 42 chests of your choice.
That says that you may be experiencing internet connectivity problems.
Oh yeah, actually it says you're browsing as a guest, but just bear with me here. So it looks like under the part where I'm browsing as a guest, it says you just have to type in the keyword into chat and you will be entered for a chance to win 42 chests of your choice. It can be any type of chest, I guess, that exists in the game, except for Gloria Bahamut chests. So if you win, you get to pick the type of chest. It could be gold chests. You could pick, I guess, silver rosy chests if you're really into rosy. It could be Modron component chests. That's the type I would always pick, because I like to play the pipes game and try and get my flow really high. What other types of chests do you think it could be, Dave?
I mean, I've been looking recently at DES chests, or maybe 3 DES chests.
Oh, 3DS. Oh, Nintendo consoles.
I know I could get a 2-fish chest, the famous blowfish chest, or an AES chest. Maybe an RC4 chest.
Encryption.
An RE.
Black Widow EE.
Oh, someone got it already.
Yeah.
I was waiting to get that one-time pad chest. That one's
the one-time pad chest.
That's right.
How would that work? That's a weird one.
All right.
Wonderful. Good luck to everyone who is entering that giveaway. May the odds be ever in your favor. And now we're locking you all in a forest. I never read the books. I only saw the first movie. Don't really know how that. Anyway,
What are you talking about?
The Hunger Games?
Oh,
never mind.
Oh,
okay. Let's just move on to the next question.
Next question. This is from Lion 2018-2019 Parking N. Yep, that's what I'm going with. Strongheart Spotlight is outdated because seasons are done. Will there be an updated version?
It's a good question. Probably not. We might go add a disclaimer to the blog post for that. But in general, we don't go back and update the old spotlights if there's a change, just because that would be a lot of work. It would be an increasing amount of work as we go. So yeah, I think it could probably use a disclaimer if we don't already have one.
The spotlight is out of date. All right. Next question. This is from OG17, asking, did C&E's heavy focus on streaming, 15 plus, I assume that's hours a week, or is that 15 plus streams? We know 15 plus streams? Did we have 15 plus streams? Anyway, happen organically or
it's hours? It must be hours.
Intentionally? What will this look like in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think our streaming focus kind of happened a little bit of both. I think it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
We started doing some streams, and we noticed that people who joined the streams and watched the streams seemed to be more engaged with the game. And we're like, that seems to be a good thing. So let's, do a bunch of streaming at different hours of the day with different times and different types of streams, and see, what has kind of the best impact on that engagement. And I think it was pretty good. I think we noticed more recently, and it's kind of rerunning some of those tests, that the impact hasn't been quite as big as it was back during the COVID times. I think this is another kind of example of shifting things in the games industry, where
player behavior, viewer behavior.
Yeah, where sort of during COVID people were indoors, and watching streams was a bigger thing, and then engaging with the streams, engaging with the games. Now that people can can go hang out with their friends instead, we see a little bit less of that. So we're just kind of pivoting with that. I'm not entirely sure what streaming will look like in the future for us. I know Dev Insights is sticking around. I know we're doing a bunch of other streams that are still sticking around. I think we have at least 10 hours or so that we're trying to do.
We're going to keep doing Developer Insights. Yeah. The Bushwhacker stream will continue. Yeah. Garwar still has a show on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then sort of everything else is sort of being rearranged. And then Sean and Mars are back on stream next week.
Yeah. So I think we'll still be doing a bunch of streaming. It might not be quite as much as it was before, but there'll still be a bunch of it. And so a bunch of opportunities. We like interacting with you guys. We like having the opportunity to kind of speak directly with our community. It's kind of a core sort of value of our company, that we talk to you guys, we listen to you guys, and we try to explain what we're doing. And so I don't think we'll ever completely stop doing that.
No, I think it also gives people an opportunity to ask direct questions and get direct answers without going into, like, you send a ticket in, and when you blog and you get something like Developer Insights here, you get direct answers from Justin and I, who are sort of directly involved with also all of the inner workings here, and so certainly it's an opportunity we want to keep providing people. So
yeah, someone's suggesting bringing back Twitch drops.
No.
Oh man,
no Twitch drops. Okay, next question. This is from Foolish Genius 89. I'm noticing a trend where more and more champs have ultimates that you basically want to be used on cooldown. Is this a deliberate or design goal? Do you know exactly what they deliberately, or that you basically want to be used on cooldown? Is in like immediately on cooldown? Is that?
So I think a lot of ultimate abilities we design that way because people will have roaming familiars, and those familiars will generally use an ultimate on cooldown. So for the most part, I think our design is such that you're not generally punished for using a champion's cooldown or ultimate on cooldown, or pretty close to on cooldown. There are some champions, obviously, where we go in a different direction. Like Celise, you want to just use those ultimates. When it's appropriate. Eliwick's a good example of a champion where if you get a good draw of cards, you may not want to use the ultimate right away. So I do think there are some champions where, you don't necessarily want to. I think there's far more champions where you do, and that's mainly because, that's kind of the idle play, is to just use those on cooldown, and so we don't want that to be punishing.
Yeah, so I was just looking at the chat. Some comment about Twitch drops. I think we had the initial sort of launch with those came with a lot of pushback, and then there was some integration related challenges that just made it a whole lot of not a whole lot of fun on our end. But that doesn't mean that we're necessarily completely against them or wouldn't do them in the future or something like that. It's just it certainly just came with a lot of I don't know what the best word for it is, but difficulty.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway, next question. This is from Idrahain. I hope I pronounced that right. When will something be done about people joining trials and doing nothing? Yeah, Justin, when?
So you'll be happy to hear that Pete and I did sit down and talk about this potentially as part of the end of year rework. If not the end of year rework, then then soon after, because we've actually talked about what we'd like to do. And I think, Dylan needs to double check what the colors mean. I think that we have an idea of something we could do to potentially address this. Basically, some sort of system where you can report people who don't contribute if they meet certain guidelines. Like, you can't report someone who does 50% of the damage, and you can't report someone if you completed the trial within 2 days, kind of thing. But if people get enough reports, they would start to get punished and start to get knocked back and not be able to join trials and stuff like that. So that's kind of where we're heading towards, where we're thinking about, because we want to try and strike a balance between punishing people who are abusing the system, so who are joining intentionally and intentionally not doing anything, and then just taking the scales. And we want to balance that against people who join a trial and then they just get busy and they aren't able to contribute, and so maybe they don't contribute their full 20% of the damage, but they still they tried. And we want to make sure that we're not overly punishing the people who are accidentally not contributing, while still giving an opportunity to really punish the people who are intentionally not helping out.
All right. Next question. This is from Adam YMHMI. Is there any thought to replacing the DPS breakdown with a gold find breakdown to get a better idea of where your gold find is coming from, which characters or passives in a given formation?
Yes, we have talked about this a little bit. So we've talked about this in relation to the champion profile rework, where we want to make sure that every sort of input and output that a champion has is displayed somewhere, so you can get a much better idea of where all of your buffs and bonuses are coming from. Specifically, one thing we want to add is sort of patron perks, blessings, stuff like that. We want to make sure that that is included in the numbers somehow, so you can see that. And I assume once we do this kind of thing, that we'll have a way to break down buffs to global DPS or positional DPS and contributions to gold find as well. So yes, this is something we want to do. It's just a matter at this point of kind of finishing the design on that and then finding the resources to do it.
Okay. Next question. This is from Cassius335 asking, if this is a Truman Show, can someone put me in a room with whomever wrote The Last 10 Years? I just want to talk.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, they ran out of good ideas, I think.
They're just reusing old ones.
Next, or what do we got here? This one you can read.
Oh, this one here.
Yeah,
this one's for you. It's from T5 Cats, who asks, ability to ability to scroll the Z levels faster equal when? Or I guess Z levels faster for our American friends. Even +/- 100 alone would be so helpful. So this is basically asking about the levels in the top right, and if they can find a way to scroll to the level they want a little bit faster.
Yeah, certainly one of the things that we've talked about before, hence this follow-up question is the ability to be able to navigate between the areas in a much more efficient way, especially going across large numbers. We have talked about putting in something there that would allow you to jump to a specific area or back and forth by larger numbers, or potentially, I guess I don't say with specific, I think somewhere potentially just being able to type in the area you want to go to. It is on the list. We have a long list at this point. It's one that I have stopped reading at the beginning of the show because it has gotten so long. But we do have a plan to tackle a number of the items on that list. And so very shortly, I think some of those items are going to start getting knocked off. Probably early September, we're going to see those start to dip. So that is definitely on the list, and hopefully we can get to that. Wait, what does Justin usually say? Before the end of the year.
What year? Which year?
Yeah, no, it's definitely on the list. All right, next question. This is from Put VFDA, asking, are there any plans on reworking some of the event variants, like enabling health sharing for the 1600 Valentine and similar?
Yeah, so specifically that Valentine variant is something that we've been discussing internally for the past couple of days, trying to find a way to make that a little bit more manageable. There's definitely some bugs going on with it, and then there's just some design issues with it, and the health sharing thing is definitely one that we missed flagging when we were going over the variants for this event. I think the current plan, I think the current plan is to change it so that instead of non-positional formation abilities being disabled, it will just make it so if there's a champion who doesn't have any positional formation abilities, you can't use them in the adventure at all, or you can use them but only level them up to level 1. I can't remember exactly why we were thinking that. But yeah, so that the abilities that buff health share would still work. And I imagine you'd actually be able to use most champions in the game, because almost everyone has some sort of positional ability. There are actually very few champions who don't, so we might want to rethink that. But yeah, that's the current plan, to try and make that a little bit more manageable. Right now, it's actually, we were talking about, it's surprising that managed to get through sort of Valentine's initial event. Obviously, there weren't tiers at that point, but players still had to get to level 175 in that adventure. And I'm surprised we didn't get kind of complaints about it then, or maybe we did, and it's just been a while, and so I forgot about them. But yeah,
Oh no.
There are some event variants that we kind of have been reworking as we've been going. When we noticed that, hey, this is going to be really, really hard to get to a high level. This is one that we missed because the issues with it are not immediately apparent upon just looking at the description of it. But obviously there are some. So we will try to get that fixed, I think, before the event ends, because it seems to be pretty high on Peter's priority list, because we are getting a lot of tickets about it. So yeah.
Okay, next question. This is from Goram Browncoat. Was rewatching some old Acquisitions Inc. stuff the other day. Why no AFL champion? Is it all a rights thing, or is it a rights thing?
Yeah, so...
AFL. Was that Will Wheaton's character?
Quite possibly, I think so. Yeah.
Didn't he die?
That's not Patrick Rothfuss's character, right?
I'm checking.
Yeah, that's totally got to be.
Player, Will Wheaton, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, content creators, the ones that, we will reach out to content creators. We'll say, hey, do you want to work with us? And some of them will say yes, absolutely, and some of them will say talk to my agent, and some of them will say yes for the right amount of money or whatever. I don't know what the exact reaction from Will Wheaton was, or even if we ever actually asked him. We might have just immediately thought he was a little outside of our pay grade kind of thing. But
his least favorite things include Binwin, being called AI, and falling into acid pits. Yeah, he did die that way.
That would be his least favorite thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I could ask and see if we've ever reached out to Will Wheaton about having his character in the game. Who knows? He might say yes. I'll put it on the list. We'll see.
All right. Next question. Wait. Oh, sorry, I was reading the chat. Next question in the doc. This one is from StarChaser43. Who are today's moderators?
Who are today's moderators? We have special guest moderators today, I think. Let me see here. We have 3 moderators today? Wow. We got Mars, Sean, and Dylan are all watching the chat and watching the stream today.
Yeah, we got 3 because of what you said last time.
Yeah, last time. They don't trust me after last time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see.
Next question. This is from T5 Cats, and they would like to know or say, well, first they're going to say something, they're going to ask a question. The first one is, multi-tier is great. Saves so much time. Maybe throw in a tiny bonus for those who do it one at a time, like a named silver chest for new players.
Yeah, so we've definitely seen a lot of the feedback of players appreciating multi-tier.
You're saying, so I was just thinking, like, if you have reverse incentives. Like, if you can get them all at once, but if you do them one at a time, you get more. I don't think. I mean,
I think so.
Players may not like that.
I was going to address that. I think that so we've been doing this for a long time.
It's true.
And let me tell you something that we have found about some players, not all players, but some players. If we take a carrot and we put it out there, and we say, hey, here's this optional carrot that you can maybe get if you do this thing. A lot of players will see that carrot as 100% required. And I think if we did this, I think it would take away a lot of the stuff that makes multi-tier good. Because people who could do, up to level 1600 would feel like they have to do every single tier.
It
to
make
get
people
that
feel
bonus
bad.
chest.
It would be a big feel bad if you
so
did it and you missed out on some of the rewards.
I don't think that we would do that. I mean, I have been, so one of the things that you can do in time gates right now is every 100 areas you complete, you get a silver chest for that time gate champion. And, maybe that's a mechanic that we can pull over to events. So that's still it's a incentive to get further. And so even if you can't get to that next tier, you can still maybe get a silver chest or 2. I think that's something that I'd like to try as an augment to see what that does to the engagement numbers and other numbers that we care about, quote unquote.
Numbers that are important to us.
Numbers that are important to us. Is that what I said last time?
That's what you said.
It's all just a synonym for engagement. But I think something like that would be interesting. It wouldn't detract from what we're trying to do with multi-tier, and it would still give people a bonus if they can't necessarily get to the highest tier in just one run. You still get something for your effort at least.
A consolation prize?
Consolation chest.
Okay, just looking at the clock here. I know we've got time for maybe 2 more questions.
Sure.
This next one is from the Lurking Writer, asking, is there any new info that can be shared about the alchemy and notary system? For example, what list it's currently on? Do you still believe it will be implemented before the end of 2024? Will there be a chance to make the purest green or have a potion explode? And will there be a keyboard and or shortcut hotkey for it?
Okie dokie.
Do we have any hotkeys left?
I don't know.
I think we're out.
It's Control-Shift-A or something like that. So what list is it currently on? It is on the high priority list right now. It was on the ASAP list, and it got
moved
bumped.
it down?
I'm sorry, I moved it down. A bunch of other stuff appeared on the ASAP list, and I had to give, or else my ASAP list was just going to turn into the new high priority list, and I was going to need a list above it, like the ASSP. AP. Anyway, so it did get bumped down a little bit. It is something we do have a deadline, like an internal deadline in, because we have a champion that we want to have who's going to interact with that system. So it may not make it by the end of 2024, because I think a lot of these balance changes and things that we want to do, I think will be a better Christmas present than the alchemy and notary system for folks. But it is a high priority for kind of before, I think, March or April of 2025. So it's still very high on the list. It's at the very top of the high priority list, just below the bottom of the ASAP list. People are very obsessed with
In the chat,
lists.
I'm asking, well, can we get programmable hotkeys? Which I assume is just ones you can set the temperature on, right? All right.
It's not the end of the, I
It's
mean, it
true.
is kind of the end of the show, so, but maybe save it for after the camera
Yes,
goes dark.
one more question, and then I think we're
okay.
all out of time.
Sure.
This is from OG17.
Oh, okay. That's the one.
Oh, you want to ask the other one? I mean,
No, you can ask this one. I just
Sure.
don't know if this is a fast answer, but I can try
well,
to
you've
make
got
it
a
faster.
minute. Why does Briv need to keep his leap stack mechanic at all? It's been trivialized since multiple parties were added to allow mid-run charging, and all it does is add inconvenience.
This is an interesting question because the allow mid-run charging thing doesn't sound like something we would want to actually allow there. So that sounds like some tech I was not aware of, and yet we do allow it. So yeah, that's interesting to think about that. Maybe it's only more recently that we've started to try and think about how multi-parties will affect certain. Yeah, watch out, OG17. You're gonna get stopped in an alley after the stream. But yeah, I mean, as far as Briv's like leap stack mechanic, like the idea of it is that it's not something that you can necessarily just use endlessly. The intention is to slow you down and require a little bit of grinding with that. But yeah, I'll have to think about this. It is possible that just removing the stacking mechanic for the leaping is something we could do to really make Briv a little bit easier to grok and easier to use. But it hasn't been something that we've talked about yet internally.
All right, that's all you got time for that answer, Justin.
Okay,
so
that's it. Yeah, where is my script? Here it is.
I do not have this memorized.
If we didn't get to your question this week, oh my God, my voice is going just in time. If we didn't get to your question this week, do not fret. You will have another opportunity. We will be live again next week, because we won't be live again next week because I am off on vacation. But before we sign off, though, we'd like to thank our tireless mods this week. As mentioned earlier, it was Dylan, Mars, and Sean. They're the folks who copied your questions into our questions doc and made things awesome in chat.
And of course, thanks to all of you for hanging out, watching the stream, asking such great questions, and for enjoying the game. Because without you, no one here would get to do what we do.
And we like what we do.
That's it. All right, enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Justin, did you know that orcas are actually dolphins?
I didn't know that.
They
no.
do a killer whale impression. I got the timing on that quite right.